Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes, and you're listening to the Business Bootcamp podcast. A big thank you to today's sponsor, which is Gusto. If you haven't already, go to gusto.com/bootcamp. If you do any sort of payroll and you want to get away from writing out checks on every Friday, definitely want to check out Gusto because you can have an online mobile app for your employees to clock in and out of and then write checks to them virtually, ACH, directly into their bank account, all automated. So check it out today. Go to gusto.com/bootcamp and try it out for free for 90 days. And that is how you take over an entire market. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can dominate any industry and crush your competition. I'm going to give you the 5 steps to do it, and it works for any industry where it's somewhat relaxed, people haven't really innovated a whole lot, and it's a very fragmented market. And I'm going to draw a parallel between a company that has done this, it's Amazon, with my company, Augusta Lawn Care, because my hope is to follow this exact recipe. And so I'm going to tell you exactly what my plan is for the next 10 to 15 years. Exactly what we're going to do at Augusta Lawn Care to take a fragmented market and make it into something that is, we are the leader and we dominate the industry. So the first thing that you got to do is change the expectations of the customer. Okay. So at the end of the day, what Amazon did is they took this e-commerce thing where people sold things online, and they basically said, hey, you know what? We're going to change the expectation of the customer over the course of 10 to 15 years. And now as Amazon members, we expect, overnight shipping, 2-day shipping, free shipping. We expect free returns. We expect massive selection and a good price. We expect all of these things from e-commerce simply because Amazon came along and forced that change. And there was a lot of e-commerce websites and retailers that did not change, did not evolve, did not meet the expectations of the customers that was created when Amazon came along and just completely changed the game. And the way you change an industry is you change the expectations of the customer, because the customer votes for which company they want. They vote for which industry standards they want every single time they purchase. So if you want to change the industry, and that's the goal of Augusta Lawn Care, change the level of professionalism in the industry, what do we have to do? We have to change the expectations of what the customer expects. In our industry, lawn care, people don't answer their phone. Like literally, I've done this before on videos. I've called 10 companies and 1 or 2 will answer. So we have to change the expectations to where now when a customer calls, they expect someone to pick up the phone. They expect software. They expect automations. They expect credit cards on file. They expect all of this stuff to be able to happen. So the first step is changing the expectations of the consumer. And this is the first way to dominate and crush your competition, is identify what is best for the customer and then do those things, because at the end of the day, the customer will eventually vote you into quote unquote office, which is the number one in your industry. So the second thing you got to do, and this is the part that a lot of people will do, number one, people will do change expectations in their local market. But if you actually want to dominate in a complete industry and just take over and start to eliminate competitors, you're going to need to invest. And you're needing to invest in the moat around your business, because what you can't have where anyone can do what you've done. Amazon has created massive moats around e-commerce, where now they have 50% or more of all of the online retail goes through Amazon. How did they do that? Because eventually, even 15 years ago, it was like 1 or 2%, 3% that they had. Well, now it's over 50%. Over half of the money exchanged on retail online goes through Amazon. But what did they do for 10, 15 years? They invested in infrastructure. All right, and I probably am spelling this wrong, but you get the point. And what they did at Amazon is they invested into massive distribution centers. They invested into the ability to have the most incredible logistics system. They invested in the infrastructure of trucks and vans and airplanes. It literally started to compete against USPS and FedEx and UPS and DHL by having the infrastructure required to be able to actually deliver on the expectations that the customer had. So they began to control the whole process. They were no longer relying on different vendors, different people. The United States Postal Service is the government, basically. They're not going to rely on that. They're going to build their own infrastructure. But that takes a huge amount of time. It takes a huge amount of investment and commitment to a very long-term goal. And that is why for decades, Amazon lost money. Okay, people forget that really it's only in the past 10 years Amazon's become a money machine. But there was years and years before that. They were around in the 1990s that they lost money every single quarter. And that's because they were investing in infrastructure. Then as you begin to continually grow the company, you're going to need to invest in something that's even a bigger moat, because again, we're trying to build something around our moat. If the castle is our business and our business model and why we're successful, if it's our secret sauce, we want to build a moat around that. And so what we're going to do, we're going to invest in infrastructure, but then we're going to invest in something else that's also very hard to duplicate, and that is technology. Okay, so what Amazon did then, they didn't stop at just buying planes and having a bunch of trucks running around and delivery services. Now they begin to invest in technology, AI, scanning devices at these warehouses and these fulfillment centers. They invested in technology of robotics. They're investing in trying to literally have things fly in the air and drop off books like with drones. This is all technology that is extremely hard to duplicate, that they only can do because they've got the first couple stages where they have changed the expectations, they have market fit, that people want and expect certain things, and now they are beginning to hurt their competition locally. Then they invest in infrastructure to again produce a bigger moat. Now they're investing in technology that allows you to scale infrastructure. Okay, so technology in the form of code, in the form of actual physical hardware like robotics. These are the things that Amazon now is basically impenetrable to a large extent. Like, you cannot go try to create the next Amazon right now. They're so far ahead of everyone else. It's a massive moat because they invested for years and years and years and years and years and continue to invest and have very, very thin margins because they're investing in technology. AWS, Amazon Web Services, one of their most profitable parts of their business is actually funding all the other different things in their business that is allowing them to have massive scale. So what you want to look for as you're beginning to dominate your market is, what parts or separate businesses or subsets in my business are most profitable? How can I take that profit and then throw it into investing into infrastructure and technology? If you do that, you'll get so far ahead of your competition if you constantly just reinvest this money in infrastructure and technology. The fourth thing you're going to do, and this is when people usually start getting mad, this is when people start saying things bad about Walmart, when Walmart moves into town, and people like Amazon, what they've done to small mom and pops, because what you're going to do is you're going to move your price so far lower than your competitors. You're going to move your price below the break-even point of your competition. Okay, so you're going to move your price below the break-even point of your competition, which basically means they cannot compete with you and make a profit. And the only reason this happens is because of 10, 15, 20 years of investing in infrastructure and technology, and after changing the expectations that the consumer has in your industry. Now they expect your competitors, the people competing with you, other businesses, to meet those expectations, but they can't because now they have not invested in the infrastructure, they have not invested in technology to scale that infrastructure, and now they can't compete on price. Because until number 4 happens, you're going to have a fragmented market. You're still going to have a lot of different competitors, but once you've eliminated the fact that, hey, we're higher value, but then now we actually deliver on price. Not only are we higher value, we're also a lower price. There becomes such a massive discrepancy in value to the consumer that you just take over the market. And that's why over the past 5 to 10 years, Amazon just obliterated everyone on e-commerce. Like, it's insane. If you take out Amazon and then a little bit of Walmart, literally everything else, there's hundreds of thousands of online retailers, and they all have tiny little fragments. What did Amazon do? And then later on, just a few years later, Walmart started to do, invest massive amounts of money into investing in infrastructure and technology. And then they wipe out their competition by pricing things so far below the break-even point of their competitors have to throw in the towel. Because guess what? Now the competition that we used to say, oh, I'm not going to put on Amazon, they're our competitors. Well, guess what? Now they're selling on Amazon. They're capitulating because they cannot compete on the prices that Amazon gets for shipping. Why? Because they have the infrastructure. They cannot compete on the logistics of Amazon. Why? Because Amazon invested in technology. All right. And for the 10, 15, 20 years that Amazon was investing into those things, those other retailers were just drinking in the profits, having a great quarters, having profits out to wazoo because they did not invest and innovate in their industry. The fifth and final thing that now we're just starting to see Amazon doing, and that is literally the opposite of number 4, and that is you raise prices. Okay, this is where massive money is made. right here. This is where billionaires are made. This is where companies go public. And this is when you start to raise your prices to the consumer after you wiped out all of your competition. Now, the only reason you can do this is because you wiped out your competition and now you begin to raise prices. But guess what? No one can compete with you. You have such you're just so many years ahead. You just have such a massive moat around everything that you do for your customers. The expectations that the customers have of your business, no one can match without spending billions of dollars. That's when you raise prices. That's why Amazon Prime literally went up like 20 or 30%, and no one's gonna quit. They're gonna still get tons of subscribers. They're gonna make literally cashing on billions of dollars by just raising their prices. That's what they're doing right now. That's what's gonna turn them into a business that pumps out a ton of cash. And that is how you take over an entire market. A market that used to be fragmented, that everyone saw as an impossibility to be able to have a 30, 40% market share. And that's my plan. This exactly is the recipe for the next 10 to 20 years at Augusta Lawn Care, as we begin to take a fragmented market, which is lawn care, and turn it into something where we can completely dominate the industry, change the level of expectations. And this is right now, this is my life for the next 10 to 15, 20 years. I'm not gonna make a lot of money. I'm pouring every single dollar, pushing it. It's stressful. Yes, trying to figure out all of the money side behind, but what we're doing is we're starting to build number 2 and number 3, right? I believe we've started to getting very good inroads on number 1. Number 2 and 3 is the next 10 to 20 years. Number 4 and number 5 will happen one day, and my ultimate goal is to make my franchisees and the people that started working for me from the onset of Augusta Lawn Care filthy rich because of these things. And that's what kind of motivates me every single day. So I'm Mike Andes. I'm the founder of Augusta Lawn Care. We have over 85 locations around North America. And if any of this was helpful, check out mikeandes.com.